Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Fumble Fever. I'm Micah,
I'm Dylan.
and we are in the thick of things right now in the college football season, and we have found out a lot about a lot of teams, and I think it's time to recap some stuff when it comes to the playoffs and figure out who. We're going to tell you who we think is going to end up in the Final Four at the end of all this. Dylan, I'm going to let you start.
Well, at the number one seed, I'm going to have LSU because right now they look by far the best team. I have Clemson at number two.
Okay.
Alabama, and then this is a toss-up for me. Either Ohio State or Penn State, one of them two. But I think I'm leaning towards Ohio State right now.
Kind of the whoever wins that game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably goes to the championship.
I can see that. So originally at the preseason, my Final Four picks were Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, and Oklahoma, and three of those people are still in it. Okay, Oklahoma has dropped out of it, in my opinion. I don't think that they can recover. I've heard some people say that they can recover, but I honestly don't think so.
Because even if Penn State loses to Ohio State,
Yeah.
They still have a better resume than Oklahoma does. I feel like Penn State should get over them.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that hands down.
And even Alabama, I feel like Penn State should probably get over Alabama too.
Yeah.
You agree with that?
Yeah, actually, from a
straight to schedule.
Yeah, from the straight to schedule alone, I agree with that. But Oklahoma being in the conference they're in the Big 12 is just too weak to recover from that loss last week. So I have them dropped. Question for me is who's going to be that fourth team. The other question for me too is I'm still set on Clemson just because of the fact that I don't see them losing any of the rest of their games.
They're your number one?
No, they're not number one overall seed. If anything, they could win the rest of the games and still probably be about a 4 the way that they've been treated. But I don't necessarily have this in an order from 1 to 4.
Are you picking?
But I am.
Are you picking your top 4, or are you picking what you think?
My final 4 for the end of the year, when the playoff committee comes out with those playoff rankings at the end of it all, that I'm gonna stick with Clemson. I'm gonna stick with Ohio State. Although Penn State could get them if Ohio State gets past Penn State.
I'm saying what they should do.
Yeah.
I'm not saying what they will do, but
that's true.
I agree with you.
You have to think about what they. There is a difference between what they will do and what they should do. I think you're right about that. But I am going to continue to roll with Ohio State and Clemson because I don't have any reason to jump ship there. The only question I have now is, like I said, who's going to be my fourth pick? But also on the third one, between LSU and Alabama is becoming really iffy for me. I personally feel right now that I'm leaning towards LSU because I think LSU is going to win the game next week, right? So I think that LSU is going to win that game. And if LSU does win that game, then for me, that sets things in stone to say that LSU is going to be in the playoff.
Oh, yeah.
Right now, based on the body of work that they put in, if it ended right today, LSU would be number one overall like you had them, and a pretty overwhelming number one in my book.
Auburn, Florida.
Yeah. The teams that they've beat, Texas. I mean, it's been amazing.
But Texas here lately hasn't been really showing anything. But it's still
they've been dropping.
It's still a good win.
That's almost besides the point of some of the stuff that we've seen on LSU. I've seen plenty to have them where they need to be at number one. So it just really bothers me. It just depends on next week between LSU and Alabama, between who I choose, because the question comes up to me, and I know it's one you've been thinking about a lot as well, is if LSU, let's say, beats Alabama or vice versa, does the losing team still possibly get into the playoffs? Because we've had the discussion last year with Georgia as to whether or not putting it 2 SEC teams would be a good idea. They went last year with not a little bit of controversy there. I mean, do you see that this year possibly happening?
Only in one scenario.
Okay.
If LSU loses, that's the only way there's going to be 2 SEC teams in there. Because if Alabama,
Yeah.
okay. If ask a question again.
So you were saying that if LSU loses, that's the only scenario.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
But if Alabama loses, there's no way Alabama's gonna make it to the playoffs because they don't have a really, like I said earlier, they don't have the strength of schedule to go on.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting take on it because I haven't actually even thought about the possibility of LSU losing yet. It was still a little unclear. Nick Saban's actually said today that he believes Tua is going to be at practice on Wednesday, but it's still kind of up in the air, and you know that he's not going to tell anyone anyways. So we'll see how the situation with Tua goes, and if he's able to play next week. If he is, that's Alabama's shot.
Do you think he's going to play?
I think they'll find a way.
Do you think if he's 80% or 70%, you think
he
he's
plays?
Gonna play?
Yeah, I know he plays because that's gonna. Nick Saban can say what he wants. He's gonna talk as if every game is the most important game, but he knows this is the most important game. LSU's the most important game. So Tua will definitely play. He's gonna play. Heck, even at probably 60%, he'll play because they're gonna shove him out there.
Because he's by far the best quarterback. Even at
we
60%.
saw that because normally in years past we'd say next man up for Alabama is never an issue, even if we've never heard their name before. They come in and they're a superstar. This guy was not that type of level, and that was against Tennessee.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's very. I don't even see this game next week against LSU and Alabama really being all that close. Maybe 7. I give LSU a good 7 or more.
7 to 10 points?
7 to 10 points over Alabama if Tua's not in there. If Tua's in there, it could come down to the wire. It could come down to one of those last play games, and it's like you said, and something that I hadn't thought about prior. If LSU is the team that loses, we could be looking at a very real possibility of them also going into the playoffs, as long as considering they went out, because who else exactly is gonna go in there at that point? Because I'm looking at
definitely not Oklahoma.
Yeah, because there's probably the Big 12 champion in Oklahoma that I would probably say that LSU's better than. You have in the Big 10 championship, because of Ohio State playing Penn State in the regular season, one of them's going to play themselves out of it. They're not going to be in the Big 10 championship, so they would need that championship ring.
And they would play Wisconsin.
Yeah, and they would play Wisconsin, and more than likely, Wisconsin, it could be Minnesota.
Yeah.
But that's not going to help them none if they're not even in it to win that, because a Big 10 champion is key.
Well, a couple years ago, Ohio State got in there even without that championship.
That's another thing that gets me about the playoff committee is that each and every year you think you have them pegged and they do something different. So
it's whatever they
it's
feel
one of
at
those
that time.
things. Yeah, it does seem to be whatever they feel at the time, and I guess they are maybe, hopefully, thankfully, looking at it as a who's the best 4 teams as opposed to.
I mean, supposedly
all
that's what they're supposed to be doing.
Right, but if I'm looking at the best 4 teams, I'm looking at that conference championship and putting a little bit of weight to it because it actually means something.
Like a little bit of an extra question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think it should be expanded to 8 teams?
No.
6 teams?
No. I don't like the idea of expanding. The only reason I don't like the idea of expanding is because once you expand it to 6 or you expand it to 8, then they're hollering for more than 8. And then you expand it to more than that, and then you keep expanding it over and over and over again until eventually it's everybody's in, and it's just I just don't like that part.
I feel like they should stop at 6. They have the 5 conference champions, and then one at large.
And then one like an at large bid that could come from either a non-Power 5 school or maybe the top of the of all the conferences, the 6th best team. That makes sense. It's something I would have to consider in the further detail on a later date. But
I could even see 8, honestly. 2 at large and then one non-Power 5 team.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like it because
more football.
Yeah, it's more football. Well, I guess you would get the football either way. I guess with the bowl games, but I guess they would mean more. And to think about the 8 in college football perspectives, you can think about the FCS because they have a playoff system, and it's more than 8. That's about 16.
Yeah.
There, and so I think so many have a bye week and this, that, and the other. It's more to it than just here's the top 16 teams, 1 versus 16, 2 versus this, 2 versus that, whatever. There's different stipulations there. But that's the most similar thing that I could probably compare all of this to when I'm thinking about the possibilities of expanding the playoffs. And while I think they do a fair job, I just don't see that as, I don't know, to me it's not as exciting, honestly. And honestly, I think some matchups that really shouldn't happen at that level, and it's big time blowout wins for the bigger school that we're just wasting their time playing that extra game, getting a little bit beat up and not being able to go to the national championship maybe like they might have deserved beforehand. So no, I don't personally want an 8. I could see it maybe trending that way eventually, years past. But the thing is, no matter how many teams are in it, you're always going to have that one. It's like, if there's 8, who's number 9?
Yeah.
If there's 64 in basketball, who's number 65? Yeah. I mean, it's always going to happen that way. So we're not going to get rid of that controversy. So we have to find a compromise to be happy with what we got. But back to the who's who, I never even told you who my number 4 was.
Yeah, you never did.
Because honestly, I still haven't got one in my head because it's hard. Like I said, with Oklahoma losing, they really shot themselves in the foot for the whole Big 12. Penn State, hard to say there. There is a good possibility that it's both Alabama and LSU, but like you said, LSU has to be the one that loses that game. I wish I could say that a Pac-12 champion could get in there, but that's not happening.
Not gonna happen.
Because right now you're looking at number 9 Utah, and as much as that would make Lee Corso's day, I just can't see it.
It would have to be like a major shakeup and everything.
Yeah.
Like Oklahoma would probably have to have 2 losses. Yeah. Alabama would probably have to have 2 losses.
Yeah.
Clemson probably need to have 2
They just
losses.
have to have 1 loss.
Yeah, 1
to be
loss.
honest, I think Clemson just has to have 1 loss. And then of course you got Notre Dame falling to Michigan like they did. They're officially out of the race now. So if there's a year to where there's going to be 2 teams from the same conference in there, then this would be the year to do it. And the only 2 scenarios that I see of that happening is either going to be Alabama and LSU, or it's going to be Ohio State and Penn State.
I can see that one.
Yeah, and I could see that one too because of the fact
I think that was more likely than the LSU.
Do you really?
Yeah, I think so.
The only reason I think that one is more smarter, but I think that the other one is more SEC, and you have to admit, I mean, that's the way that they tend to lean. That's why that they were such a fuss about wanting Georgia in there last year. So it's hard to say. It's going to be a tough job for the playoff committee, but we are looking forward to the fact that the first playoff rankings come out Sunday. So we'll be able to see that. Y'all will be watching that, and we'll see how all these games unfold on Saturday to see how that goes.
Yeah, and it should be some more upsets.
I hope so. And upsets are always fun, and it shakes things up, and it brings a lot of chaos. We'll see how that goes coming up on Saturday. And if you guys want to hear our predictions on those games, you can just scroll over to the next video that will be posted along with this one that you're watching now. Thank you so much for your support. Subscribe to Fumble Fever on YouTube and follow us on Twitter. Thank you guys.
Bye.